So it seems like in patch 7.3 we will be going to Argus, and I almost thought that Blizzard might make Argus its own expansion. So my thoughts were we're gonna have patch 7.1, 7.1.5 to do some class changes, 7.2 with Tomb of Surgeris, which sounded like a final raid, right? Well, apparently the last boss would be Kill Jaden of some sort, but then we go to Argus, and that is exciting. Argus apparently is going to be part of Legion expansion with patch 7.3, and as a long-term nerd of World of Warcraft, somebody who have enjoyed lore since like I was a kid playing Warcraft 3, just trying to learn and trying to translate it back to Russian, back to English, all that jazz. Argus was just one of those things where it's like, that's where everything started. And I am very excited to experience it. So we're going to be going to Argus, which is going to be like space travel or world travel. Depends how you look at it in World of Warcraft, because for them, magic, technology, and space travel are kind of like a more or less same thing. So that's exciting, the fact that we're going to be going to different worlds. This also tells me that we might be going to other worlds in the future, which hints at some other ideas of what we could be doing with World of Warcraft expansion. And if I do a little bit of research and put a video together, I might talk about the possible futures of World of Warcraft. But regardless, it is very exciting that we are going to be going to Argus, which is basically a planet where most of the demons came from, more or less. Technically, a lot of demons are from different homeworlds and different planets. Like for example, Voidwalkers are part of the Void family, and they came kind of from the Void. So they're not really quite demons, but more like alien style species, sorta. The majority of the demons and the body structure and the type and the way that they look all came from Eredar, which are the inhabitants of Argus. Those that were not corrupted by the demon power in Argus were called the Draenei, the playable race for the Alliance, also known as the Exiled Ones. Now at first we might think that the Draenei is basically what the Eredar looked like in the past, and then the demons that we see today are just the corrupted version. But there's actually a wiki account that suggests the original lore, that the Eredar of Argus originally had a little bit different of a look. But then Sargeras rolls in and he offers them the ability to gain immense amounts of fel power that will make him indestructible, which is a little bit ironic because I think we're just destroying demons left and right as the game goes on. Either way, they had a lot of Eredar that took the demon corruption, and we see the byproduct of it today when we look at Kill Jaden and Archimonde. But those are the Eredar that have been corrupted by fel. On the other side, we have the Draenei, or the Eredar that have been influenced by Naru and by Valen, who decided to take the gifts of Naru and the Holy Spirit. I guess like Naru is technically is a holy entity, but it's not really the same as like what Holy Priests of like human side believe. But it's like really similar, basically the pure light. So we actually have two different Eredar that have formed from the OG Eredar, because apparently they look different. So it'll be very interesting to see what the original Eredar look like, and maybe Blizzard will add some kind of like a different model for them, but chances are they might just look just like the Draenei of today that we see on the Alliance, which on one hand, it's like you can't really blame Blizzard for making it that way, but it'll be really cool if maybe we saw some kind of like Eredar with like a tail and like this whole goat thing, the legs like less straightforward, standing more forward, just draconic maybe. I don't even know, I can only imagine. On one hand, we have Argus, that is a planet ridden by demons, so chances are we'll probably see the fel Eredar that we've are used to and accustomed to, but maybe, just maybe, there might be a few surviving Eredar that have neither taken the Naru blessing and neither have taken the corruption of the fel. Maybe like a Eredar they've been waiting on like a side planet or like the moon, and they're just waiting for somebody to come in to go to Argus and take the fight there. So it'll be very interesting to see if Blizzard even accomplishes that. But as a World of Warcraft nerd, I would love to see what the original Eredar would have looked like. Now the biggest question that I have right now is the possibility of who could be the final boss. And again, this is where the WoW nerd of me bleeds through these videos. And I know I'm mostly a World of Warcraft rogue PvP channel, but when it comes to this type of lore, oh man, this is the bread and butter that I used to enjoy when I was just a wee little lad way back in Russia playing on what is it? Not even a Mac, it's like a Windows 98. Oh, the good old days. Anyway, my thoughts are it might be Sargeras, and I'm just gonna get into it. If you have been spoiled or not, we know that Gul'dan is going to be dealt with by the next raid. No, I'm not going to give you examples of how he gets dealt with, what happens to him, what goes on, because I feel like there's a bit more story to it, and you need to witness it yourself once the raid comes out, or you can just look it up on Google and YouTube. But we are going to be dealing with Gul'dan. So he is one of the guys that's a catalyst. He's one of those guys who triggers the events, and he was sent by Archimond of the Draenei or Draenor timeline to continue the mission of sending demons into Azeroth and whatnot. So he's back, but he's going to be dealt with. So we're not really going to be dealing with him. So who else do we have on the table? We have talked about that Kil'jaeden, who was one of the few, I guess, generals of Sargeras. And as far as we understand, he might be, or probably is going to be the final boss of Tomb of Sargeras whenever that raid comes out. So Kil'jaeden is another catalyst of driving force to drive the demons forward into Azeroth, to keep driving the demonic forces and the heroes to fight against the incoming corruption. So I'm just trying to figure out if we end them in a raid and then we take the fight to Argus, who would be the end boss on Argus. So Gul'dan is the henchman. He is going to be dealt with. Eventually Kil'jaeden is going to be dealt with as well, as far as we know. I'll be surprised if we just like let him go, let him live. Maybe he retreats. Oh, he could retreat to Argus. It's a possibility. But that's just some of my thoughts. I'm thinking there's going to be a bigger boss, so I feel like Sargeras is going to make an appearance. I know that we have the Tomb of Sargeras, and we haven't really seen Sargeras in a while. Last thing we've seen of Sargeras was like an avatar of Sargeras, which is like a manifestation of his power, but not really him himself. But it is possible with the fact that the heroes of Azeroth are coming in with their powerful weapons all the way to Argus. We need to do some kind of a speedy process, get all the demonic forces together on this broken ass planet, get all our strongest warlocks, whatever we have, available, because a lot of them are back. A lot of the demons that we faced before, like Jirax, for example, all of them are back. So maybe when you unite all of them and maybe do some mass sacrifice of demons, you might be able to summon the big daddy demon back. Sargeras might be the final boss, but that's just some of my thoughts. I don't really know where they could take it from here. And I mean, this is actually going to be a very much surprise. Even if Sargeras ends up being the very, very final boss of Legion, I'm still going to be surprised. Although I'm saying like that's probably what's going to happen. I am not sure how Blizzard is going to incorporate him into the game and into maybe like a final raid as the very last boss for us to deal with. The problem is they only have a little bit of hints and glimpses and some ideas and theories that are floating around the internet where we don't really have an answer, and we can't really take the information that we do have and come up with a good conclusive answer out of it. At least I can't really do it off the back of my head. But I feel like Blizzard is maybe the one of this kind of a setup to give some really compelling story, to give you a reason to really just give a damn about what is happening in the future for World of Warcraft. I feel like so far Legion has been a pretty good expansion in terms of lore. It hasn't been some kind of expansion where lore has been like the primary aspect of it, but I don't really remember lore being like a primary aspect back in Pandaria, Cataclysm, or even Warlords Gen, I guess, was driven by lore, but it was like the story, I guess they tried to make the story of those warlords of the orc warlords from back in the day, but then we just killing them off as like the very first boss in Highmaul, and just didn't really make a hair in sense. I felt like the characters fell apart, and even to the end, the story didn't really make sense. I mean, it was like, hey, there's Grom Hellscream. I know he's started the Iron Horde, he's led it, and now after we kill Archimond, the General are like, yay, we're all friends. And it's like, even though you slaughtered a bunch of our people, hey, everybody wins kind of deal. It just didn't really make that much sense back at the time. But, you know, I feel like Legion has been able to do fairly well with the major players of Varian and Vol'jin getting traded out. There's a lot more potential for the Anduin story. There's a lot of potential for Sylvanas' story, especially Sylvanas' story. I was actually surprised with the whole, if you haven't got to play the Stormheim storyline, you should definitely do all the quests. It's really, really cool. So spoilers ahead of time. Just skip ahead for the video. Video is almost over anyway, but we have Sylvanas trying to bring back her undead minions, trying to bring back the Forsaken, and trying to find a way for them to keep coming back in the game, keep coming back with the armies, and keep growing her forces, and keep growing her people, as they are somebody who cannot reproduce. So she's trying to take the powers of the Helheim to maybe be able to raise dead like Lich King in a way. And it was just, I don't know, it was just such a cool, compelling story. At first I thought like, okay, so it's cool that we have Sylvanas as a leader, but where can her story go? Now you have this leader who has to lead all of the Horde, but she also has self-interest for just a fact, just a part of the Horde, just a small part of the Horde. Being the Forsaken, she has interest in those guys, even though she's a leader of the Horde. So it's like trying for her character to bounce it back and forth. I don't know, I'm just enjoying watching it. I'm just sitting there with popcorn, just trying to see where else this goes. Where does it take us from here? And right now I feel like the story is a little bit at a halt. We kind of just are waiting, just doing our world quest. But I'm very excited to see what the story continues from here on, as we have the Illidan story to continue, we have the Nighthold story to go through, we have the faction stories to go through. I'm not even sure if Anduin has a story. I actually haven't. Have we been having any story with Anduin? We're still having that on the back burner, and we still have his potential to come back as one of the main players in the game. But I'm very excited to see how it all goes in the future. But this is my little rant about the Argus and the fact that we're going to Argus. Fucking amazing. Can't wait. I'm very much excited. And I don't know. I've been very, very happy with the way Blizzard has done Legion story so far. It kind of brings out the kid in me, like, oh, we're going to Argus. That's where the Eridor came from. Oh, that's where basically the demon army started. Oh, I'm just so excited. Like, just very, very excited. Man, if only the young me, the young Dalaruski back from Russia, when I was just a kid playing on the goddamn Windows 87 or whatever, 89, it was so long ago, playing Warcraft 3 RTS. If only I knew that eventually we'll be visiting Argus. Oh, I would have been so hype and excited, dude. But this is my rant on Argus. And I'm very excited. I can't wait for patch 7.3. I can't wait for future patches 7.2, 7.1.5, 7.2.5, and maybe even 7.3.5. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you what you think about the video. Are you excited to see Argus? Because I know I am. Thank you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.